She laughed cruelly. Just then, Jiang Ming stepped in and put a hand on Li Xiulai's shoulder. It's not worth it, arguing with someone like her. Let's go. Li Xiulai paused for a moment, realizing the truth in his words. There's no point in arguing with people like Zhang Shuili. Besides, even though she caused a lot of trouble in her previous life, she hasn't done anything terrible enough in this one to warrant that kind of punishment. He sighed inwardly. I'll let it go this time. Better to give an idiot a chance. Li Xiulai knew deep down that people like Zhang Shuili would never change. People like her always take shortcuts to achieve their goals. No matter how many times they fail, they'll repeat the same mistakes. He thought to himself, I'm just waiting for her to mess up again so I can crush her without hesitation. Li Xiulai stepped closer to Zhang Shuili and said, Your father is rich, sure, but he's just a 5-millionaire, just a small-time wealthy boss in Hangzhou. The yellow-haired boy was shocked and blurted out, 5 million, isn't that impressive? Why is he so nonchalant about it? The red-haired boy replied, He's like a frog in a well. How can he understand what 5 million means? That's enough to buy 100 houses for my family. Li Xiulai, ignoring them, continued speaking to Zhang Shuili. There are plenty of people in this world far richer and more powerful than your father. You might use money to oppress others, but when the tables turn and someone uses money to oppress you, don't cry and scream. He then leaned in and whispered, I'm waiting for that day, Zhang Shuili. Zhang Shuili's face turned pale, a mix of surprise and anger washing over her. Why do I suddenly feel so nauseous? She thought. Meanwhile, Li Xiulai turned to Jiang Ming and casually asked, What do you want for lunch? Jiang Ming grinned. Lanzhou ramen sounds good. Li Xiulai nodded. All right, my treat. Jiang Ming, still buzzing with excitement, said, Brother Shu, you were so cool just now. I'm so pumped. What you said was amazing. And forget manners. I'm definitely getting 2 extra slices of beef in my ramen. Furious, Zhang Shuili shouted. What the hell are you pretending to be? She charged at Li Xiulai, aiming to slap him. But Li Xiulai dodged effortlessly, grabbing her wrist in the process. Girls shouldn't shout about fighting and killing, Li Xiulai calmly told her. Be careful, or you'll mess up your hormones. Enraged, Zhang Shuili tried to kick him, but somehow she ended up bouncing backward toward the red and yellow-haired boys. The onlookers were stunned, and whispers quickly spread throughout the crowd. What just happened? One student asked, confused. What just happened? One student asked, confused. I don't know. It looked like Shuili wanted to slap Li Xiulai, but he moved so fast. How did Zhang Shuili fall like that? Another student added. The red-haired boy rushed over to help Zhang Shuili up. Are you okay? He asked. The yellow-haired boy noticed she seemed dazed. Zhang Shuili, on the verge of tears, was still wondering what had just happened. Later, back in the boys' dormitory, Jiang Ming couldn't stop smiling. Brother Shu, you were so cool just now. You left without showing off, but didn't you see Zhang Shuili's face? She was pale. She doesn't even know her own limitations. How could she look down on others like that in front of you? But then, curious, Jiang Ming asked, Did you secretly learn Qigong or something? How did Zhang Shuili get bounced back so far so fast? Li Xiulai smiled and replied, If I told you I don't know either, would you believe me? It was strange. Jiang Ming looked disappointed. Do you expect me to believe that? Li Xiulai laughed. Honestly, I have no idea how it happened. Maybe she just tripped because she wasn't paying attention. Jiang Ming, still skeptical, said, That's too perfunctory. There's no way she just tripped. Li Xiulai, however, had no answers. He didn't fully understand what was happening either. First, his coffee shop had been surrounded by a strange golden light. And then, when he was taking a shower, the same golden light appeared. Confused, he had wondered, What is this golden light? What kind of ability did I awaken after being reborn? And now, the same thing had happened with Zhang Shuili. Before he could react, his body moved on its own, and her movements slowed down before his eyes. He could even see the trajectory of her actions. When Zhang Shuili tried to kick him, it felt as though a barrier had suddenly appeared around his body, pushing her away. This can't be a coincidence, Li Xiulai thought. Something's happening to me that can't be explained by science. Determined to get to the bottom of it, he decided to visit the university library the next day. The following day, at Hangzhou University Library, Li Xiulai grabbed a stack of history and mythology books, searching for any clues that might explain what was happening to him. While reading, he stumbled across a section in one of the books detailing ancient legends about a phenomenon called resurrection of spirit energy. According to the text, when spiritual energy between heaven and earth reflows and strengthens. Mortals with spiritual roots can naturally absorb this energy. Through meditation, they can connect with the forces of nature and embark on the path of cultivation, merging with heaven and earth. Different factions practice different methods of cultivation, such as swordsmanship, physical training, and chi cultivation. However, the difficulty of cultivating immortals requires hard work, perseverance, and constant breakthroughs in day-to-day practice. Although the text called it a legend, it also stated that many such myths had been passed down and exaggerated over time. Li Xiulai knew that such stories were often dismissed as old folklore. But he couldn't ignore the strange things happening to him. These legends may not be entirely baseless. After all, science hasn't disproved them either, he thought. Perhaps I am one of these so-called individuals with spiritual roots. Maybe there really are hermits and hidden masters practicing silently in corners of the world. Returning the books to the shelf, Li Xiulai left the library deep in thought. I don't know if the revival of spiritual energy started after my rebirth, but regardless, this is my opportunity. I have to seize it. That evening, he decided to try practicing. The next day, at 6 in the morning, Li Xiulai headed to the park. He had read on the internet that early morning, when the sun rises, is the best time to practice. Practitioners would use this time to purify their bodies, harmonize their breath, and cultivate their inner strength. He arrived at a park near the university and found a quiet spot under a tree. Sitting cross-legged and calming his mind, he focused inward. Let's see if I can gather chi in my dantian. Li Xiulai was shocked when he realized he could actually see the energy. He was leading and controlling it. Without hesitation, he continued practicing, circulating the spiritual energy through his body for 9 cycles. He became so engrossed in the process that he didn't even notice the temperature rising to 29 degrees. His body started feeling hot, and he wondered, is this normal? Opening his eyes, he thought, I've vaguely touched the threshold of cultivating immortality. If I persevere, small efforts will accumulate, and even a little water can form a river. But despite his excitement, he still wasn't sure. Is this really how one cultivates immortality? After practicing for so long, he noticed that his body felt lighter, and the fatigue and sleepiness from getting up early were mostly gone. He made up his mind to return every day to practice. However, he suddenly noticed several elderly people gathered in front of him. They were all surprised to see a young man in the park so early for morning exercise. That's great, one of them said. Young people should exercise more and keep fit to stay healthy. One elderly lady even tried to introduce her granddaughter to Li Xiulai, while another man attempted to teach him the correct posture for Tai Chi. Nervous, Li Xiulai politely declined, saying, Grandpa, Grandma, I have to go back to school for classes. I'm leaving now. The elderly group insisted that he should come every day to practice. But Li Xiulai quickly ran off, escaping as fast as he could. Once he was free, he breathed a sigh of relief. But seeing so many elderly people gave him an idea, a new business opportunity. In another 2 years, he thought excitedly, square dancing will explode in popularity among the middle-aged and elderly. Right now, it's spontaneous, with no organization or discipline. China's society is aging rapidly, and if I create a structured, safe space for square dancing, not only would it contribute to society by providing a place for exercise and relaxation, but it would also be a fantastic business opportunity. Thrilled by the idea, he thought, I'll make a plan when I get back. As he walked away, an old man practicing martial arts in the park noticed him and thought, this young man has an aura similar to ours. Later at the airport, an announcement echoed through the terminal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard our flight to Yanzhou. It is now boarding time. Please have your boarding pass and valid ID ready and line up to board the plane. Everyone noticed Li Xiulai talking on his cell phone, and they were surprised. A mobile phone? They thought. That's so expensive. In the 90s, owning a mobile phone was considered a luxury. The lady on the other end of the call told Li Xiulai, We've selected several houses near Sanli Lake for you. The woman on the phone asked Li Xiulai, when would it be convenient for you to come and have a look? Li Xiulai, preparing to board his flight, replied, I'm about to board the plane now. Contact me in 3 hours when I've landed. After grabbing his bag, Li Xiulai boarded his flight to Yanzhou. A few hours later, he landed and made his way to Dezuo Real Estate. At the real estate office, the receptionist greeted him and said, The market price of the house you're interested in is 1 million yuan. Would you prefer to pay in full or through installments? If you're interested in installments, I can introduce you to our bank loan services." The receptionist smiled, thinking, he looks to be in his early 20s. Could he be a rich, second-generation kid? He sounded so generous on the phone. Could he be the god of wealth? Li Xiulai paused and told her, "Give me a minute. I want to take another look before deciding." He knew this property would not only serve as a base for him in Yanzhou, but its market value would also skyrocket in the coming years. The agents have a good eye for selecting properties. No wonder this industry has thrived for so long, but it's a shame about real estate. In about 10 years, the market will collapse. Without further hesitation, Li Xiulai took out his golden card and handed it to the receptionist. "I'll pay in full," he said. The receptionist's eyes widened in shock, not just her. Everyone present in the office was taken aback. "Did he just pull out 1 million like it's nothing?" Someone whispered. "He looks so young, and his clothes are modest. But he didn't even blink when paying in full. Maybe he's from a super rich family." Another person nodded. "Must be a second-generation rich kid for sure." A girl dressed in black overheard the conversation and remarked, "Sanli Lake is far from the city center. There's no room for the property value to appreciate. I must have been fooled." Another person whispered, "Are you stupid? The value of houses in that area won't appreciate. That's the old town." After signing the contract for the house, Li Xiulai smiled to himself. They don't know anything. Forget Sanli Lake. If you buy property in Yanzhou, you'll make a fortune too. Being reborn has its perks. Satisfied, Li Xiulai thought. Next up, there are other important things to take care of. He made his way to a newspaper vendor and bought a copy of the Financial Evening News. As he flipped through the pages, he noticed an article about Feilong Technology's rapid growth. The company had not only secured domestic success, but also attracted overseas investments. Father Long really knows how to seize business opportunities and climb to the top, Li Xiulai thought. But then he smiled knowingly. I can't let him dominate the market alone. As the chill of the evening air set in, Li Xiulai thought, it's time to meet Brother Shi and Brother Hong.